Stereotype, an often unfair and untrue belief that many people have about all people or things with a particular characteristic. You'll find stereotypes about people, places, and things in all walks of life. Some stereotypes are extremely unfair. Some can be quite offensive. Some will have merit, and on occasion, a stereotype can be pretty darn close to the truth. One thing that is heavily stereotyped happens to be our favorite method of travel and vacation, and that's cruising. If you've cruised before, you probably know what I'm talking about, and if you haven't, stick around, because today I'm going to go over 10 or so stereotypes about cruising, and I'm going to try to debunk each and every one of them. Hi everyone, I'm Jamie from Sharonatsea Travel. Thanks for stopping by the channel today. Whenever I tell someone that hasn't cruised before that it has been my family's preferred method of travel and vacation for the past 20 years, they immediately start asking questions based on myths or stereotypes that they have always heard about cruising. As a matter of fact, it used to be a little annoying, but now it has become more of a challenge to disprove their preconceived notions and try to open up their eyes to all the great things about going on a cruise. The most common response I probably get is, cruising's too expensive. You have to be rich to cruise. Well, it takes about 1 minute to debunk this stereotype and explain that in most cases, cruising costs the same or is cheaper than many family vacation destinations. A week-long cruise can be half the price of a week at Disney World, unless of course it's a Disney cruise. They're pretty expensive. The cruise includes many things that cost extra on a land-based vacation. Plus, you can book your cruise a year ahead of time and slowly pay towards it for months. And when you finally sail, you are already paid in full. And if your budget's tight, you could literally sail for a week and barely spend any extra money. The bottom line, cruising is actually quite affordable. How about this one? Cruising's dangerous. I heard people fall overboard all the time. That stereotype is just plain false, or as some people like to say, it's fake news. Quick stat for you, an average of 20 people go overboard per year on cruise ships, with most of those being reported as being on purpose. That's 20 people per year out of an average of almost 20 million cruisers annually. Now, if you want to talk about safety as part of the dangerous stereotype, okay, we can do that. A cruise ship has been compared to a small floating city, and yes, things can happen. A random fight, God forbid an assault, theft, slips and falls, yes, these are all possible, but the chances are equal to, or in many cases, far lower than what could happen in any other city or on any other land vacation destination. Now here's one, and I'm not sure if this is a stereotype or more of a myth, but some people say that even when a person watches a video on YouTube and they enjoy it, they still won't subscribe, hit the like button, and check out all the other videos on the channel. Well, I say that is just not true, and if you agree with me, now's the time to prove those people wrong. So do us a favor, make sure you subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, and watch more of our videos if you're a fan of cruising. Thanks very much. Now, many stereotypes involve kids in one way or another. First one is, there are too many kids running around. Well, you just need to book the right cruise at the right time on the right cruise ship to minimize the amount of kids on your cruise. And if you don't know how to do that, any travel professional, like let's say, I don't know, my wife Sharon, who you could contact at sharonatsea@gmail.com or just search Sharonatsea Travel on Google, can help you find the best cruise for you. Next one for kids is, my kids won't like it or they'll be bored. Well, I would argue cruising is a lot like summer camp for kids. They have kids clubs with well-trained adult supervision and daily activities. And by the way, 90% of those activities are included in the cruise price. Plus, for a few extra dollars, there is after-hours babysitting, for lack of a better term. So adults can be out and about having fun, and the kids can be safe and sound. Kids can meet and hang out with other kids for hours each day. Ships have playgrounds, water parks, kids' games, and on newer ships, you can even find go-karts and roller coasters. Can you believe that? Now, if your kids can't find something to be entertained by on a cruise, then okay, fine, I get it. Go to a cabin by the lake and enjoy your family time together. One thing I just want to mention real quick regarding kids is for parents of kids with special needs. This has been a big focus area for cruise lines recently, and many of the mainstream cruise lines have instituted accommodations for children with special needs, from specific activities and supervision, sensory-friendly films and toys, specific dietary needs, and the list goes on. So if you are a parent of a special needs child, don't listen to any stereotype about kids and cruising, because you just may find that cruising is the perfect vacation for you and your family. Okay, how about this stereotype? Everyone gets sick on a cruise ship. Okay, well, you are in a fairly enclosed area with a few thousand other people, so can you get sick? Sure you can. But is there a better chance on a cruise than, let's say, in an office building, at a busy restaurant, at a daycare, at the gym, at an amusement park? I'd say the chances are all about the same. But if you are concerned, make sure to wash your hands often, keep a safe distance from others when you can, take extra vitamins, and get a good night's sleep on the cruise. Hopefully avoid the cruise crub. Yes, it's a real thing, and I'll even put a link to Sharon's video about it right up here. And just make sure you have a great vacation. Next stereotype, cruise ships are full of partiers and drunks. Now this one can have a hint of truth to it on occasion, but if it's a concern for you, those party cruises can be easily avoided. Shorter, less expensive cruises can seem to have more of a party vibe, as people might just be there as a release and looking for a long weekend good time. But on almost all cruises, you'll find plenty of activities, entertainment, and fun that does not revolve around alcohol consumption. Now, on a more serious note, if you have had struggles with alcohol, and let's say you're in recovery, you can often find support on a cruise. First, congratulations and keep up the fight. And second, I'm not sure I've ever been on a cruise where I did not see a meetup listed in the daily activities for Friends of Bill W. And with regards to that, if you know, you know. Another stereotype, or again, maybe more of a myth, but I've heard it a few times, is cruising is only for couples and families and I'm single. Well, maybe you're single. Maybe your spouse won't go, but you want to cruise. Maybe you recently lost a loved one and you need to get away. Let me tell you, I have met plenty of solo cruisers on our cruises, and whatever the reason for them cruising solo, they are having a fantastic time. Not only are they making all their own decisions and never have to wait for any other family member to be ready for anything. Husbands, you know what I'm talking about. But there are actually many solo cruisers on board ships, and there are plenty of things that solo cruisers can be involved in. There are always single cruiser meet and greets, and we know many people that have cruised solo and made great new friendships while on board the cruise ship. I recently asked the many solo cruisers in our Facebook group, the Sharonatsea Cruise Crew, about their first solo cruise, and many had the same response. They were a little bit nervous at first, but once they got on board and got situated, they had a fantastic time. Do your research because pricing as a solo cruiser can vary. There are a few cruise lines that offer cabins for solo cruisers and discounts for solo cruisers in double occupancy standard cabins. Contact a cruise professional and they can give you all the options you need to become a solo cruiser. Another stereotype, cruising doesn't work with my dietary restrictions. Sure, many people compare cruise dining to cattle that are grazing. You know, you just slowly wander around the ship, constantly eating anything and everything you see. And yes, you can do that if you want. I mean, I'm living proof. But if you have dietary needs or restrictions, like maybe you're into keto, maybe you're diabetic, you're lactose intolerant, you're a vegan or vegetarian, you have gluten allergies, well, you can maintain your diet on a cruise, and you can even let the cruise line know of your restrictions when booking the cruise, and again, once you board the ship. And they will do whatever they can to accommodate your needs. Yes, you may run into a few challenges at times, but we know a number of people that cruise with certain dietary restrictions, and with a little extra effort, they can follow their diet and have a great cruise. How about this stereotype? Cruise ship cabins are too small. Well, yeah, most cruise ship cabins are pretty small, but the question is, are they too small to stay in on a week-long cruise? Well, 20 million cruises a year might say they are not, but let's see if we can debunk this stereotype. First, there are different sized cabins on ships, and if you want to spend the extra cash, you can get a slightly larger cabin, and in some cases, a very much larger cabin. But the main argument is that the cabins are small because you really don't spend a lot of time in there. Sure, you sleep in there, but then you spend the day out and about on the cruise ship or off the ship when you're in port for the day. I mean, when you get a hotel room, do you spend a lot of time in there, or is it just a place to sleep, shower, and keep your belongings while you were involved in whatever activity made you need to travel in the first place? And here's a little tip for you. If for some reason you plan to spend more time in your cabin than the average cruiser, make sure you get a balcony cabin. It's a great place to sit and relax in a private setting while still getting to see and hear everything the open seas have to offer. Now, this stereotype may have been more true in the past, but nowadays it is very debunkable. And I'm not even sure if that's a word, debunkable, but let's give it a shot. I won't be able to keep in touch with my work or even family back home. It's understandable that even while on vacation, you'll need to communicate with your workplace at some point. Maybe you own your own business, or maybe you need to have contact with family for some reason, and it is non-negotiable. Well, cruise ships have Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi quality on ships has improved greatly over the past few years. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect everywhere on the ship, sometimes not even in your cabin, but with a little effort, you can find certain areas on the ship where you can sit with your phone or laptop and communicate back home with ease. And most iPhone users we talk to find that by simply connecting to the ship's Wi-Fi, they can send iMessages to anyone with another iPhone. The ship will offer Wi-Fi packages that you can purchase based on what quality of connection you need. Maybe you just need email access. Maybe you need to access websites or apps. Maybe you need video streaming capabilities. These can all be accomplished with certain Wi-Fi packages on board the cruise ship. Also, when you're in port, your cell phone provider may offer service for that country, or you may be able to pay a little extra for service outside the US. So look into those options as well. Either way, there are plenty of methods to keep in touch with anyone you need to back home, so don't let that be a reason not to take a cruise. Finally, the classic stereotype that people have heard that keeps them from booking a cruise: you don't have enough time to see everything in the ports that you visit. Well, most 7-day cruises will have 3 or 4 stops in a different port, depending on where you cruise to. Most times the ship is in port for about 9 hours, like maybe from 7 to 4 or 8 to 5. Now you can book a cruise ship excursion that lasts anywhere from 2 to 6 hours doing certain things that are unique to the area, either by land or by water, or you can get off the ship and be your own travel guide exploring the area on your own, or you can book your own excursion with proper research that is not booked through the cruise line. Now, I'm not saying that this is always enough time to see everything that a certain port has to offer, but you can certainly see a few highlights and try to cover as much ground as possible, and I'd rather see or do 2 or 3 cool things in 4 different ports over the course of a week than go to one place and spend the whole week there. Now, I get it, that is just my opinion, but I just love waking up and being in a new place each port day rather than waking up in the same place on vacation and trying to find something fun and different to do every day. Plus, if you do it right, you're out and about and you end up exhausted when you run around a cruise port for 8 hours in the day. Then you have yourself a relaxing sea day to regroup and get re-energized for the next port day. And when the cruise is over, you can look back and say that you've been to multiple destinations, seen different things every day, and have experienced many new cultures all within 1 week of travel. Now, what do you guys think? Did we do a good job debunking all these stereotypes? Let me know in the comments below if you have ever tried to change someone's mind about cruising, or if you think of another stereotype that I may have missed. If you enjoyed the content, and after you've subscribed, of course, please feel free to share it with friends, family, and on social media. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.